Pat Dooris. Welcome to The Story. We have a terrific show in store for you tonight. We're going to show you how you can give testimony during public hearings in Salem without ever leaving your living room. And we'll talk with a heroin addict in the Dalles who wants to get clean but cannot get into a program fast enough. But first, roughly 2.5 months ago, we had an election for governor here in Oregon. Democrat Tina Kotek won, continuing the long line of Oregon governors who are Democrats. And congrats to her. But for months leading up to the vote, it looked like Republican Christine Drazan had a real shot at being Oregon's first Republican governor in decades. Losing, she said, was devastating. She's not talked publicly about that defeat until right now, which makes that our big story. Oregon's race for governor featured 3 strong candidates, all women. Fundraising and spending hit a record high. More than $70 million poured into the race. Democrat Tina Kotek got the lion's share of that, bringing in $30 million. Republican Christine Drazan brought in $22.6 million. Both spent nearly all that money on TV and advertising and their campaigns. When it was all said and done, Kotek won with 917,000 votes. Drazan came in second with 850,000, and Betsy Johnson was third with 168,000. It was pretty clear by election night that Johnson would not be a factor, but it was not at all clear, at least not to Drazan and her team, that she would lose.
On election night, I did not know that we weren't going to win. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I did not at that time know that we weren't going to be successful in the race.
What was that moment like when you finally did realize that?
You know, it was devastating. I felt like I had let people down.
Yeah, but you've done your best.
Well, so I think that what people deserve, though, is when you fight as hard as we did, you know, when you really give it your whole heart and soul, you have to just really deeply commit to that goal. And I think that's what people did. That's what I did. And so, you know, on the other side of that, it's devastating.
I asked her what impact Betsy Johnson had on the race. Did having the former conservative Democrat, who often voted with the Republicans and then ran as a non-affiliated candidate, did that help or hurt Drazan?
I think it hurt me. She raised money almost exclusively from people that weren't supporting Tina Kotek. And so when I talk about being outspent in the end, 17, 18 million, whatever she raised, wasn't available for my race. And, you know, she really hurt my ability to compete financially, which matters. To be able to get sort of your perspective out there and say, listen, this just isn't true. You know, what she's trying to tell you is just not true. It's misleading. I just didn't have the resources to do that. So that was harmful. And she also, you know, overperformed in parts of the state that I won and underperformed in parts of the state that Tina won.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So
if she had been stronger in the metro area, for example, that might have benefited you somehow.
Yeah, and I think that having a third-party candidate that is that well-funded, we've known all along, she was going to have an impact on who won. You know, whoever was able to kind of hold on to their voters and keep them from being siphoned off would be the person that could make it out of this 3-way election.
Yeah.
And Tina was able to hold on to Multnomah County, and in a very big way, and keep her voters from voting for Betsy. And so here we are.
Drazan mentioned the fundraising by the third-party candidate, Betsy Johnson. Johnson did indeed raise a lot of money, $17.5 million. Now, it's not clear that all that money would have gone to Drazan instead, but it is fair to point out that the influence of the third candidate in a race like this is significant. There's another huge topic that we talked about, perhaps the elephant in the room, if you will, during this last election: abortion. Kotek made it clear she would stand behind the very strong protections Oregon has for abortion services and the unrestricted right for women to get an abortion in Oregon. Drazan never clearly said what her personal position is on abortion. She considered it a red herring, a false fear, since it is so well protected in state law. But she discovered it was a very effective issue for her opponent, a tool used to peel off Drazan voters.
But over the course of the race, it became clear that as Tina spent more and more money on this issue, that she was able to convince people that an issue that is settled law in Oregon was somehow something that was at risk. It was disingenuous at best. It was deceptive, and people were afraid. Women were afraid over the course of that campaign. And the thing about it is I'm not against anybody. And I have a personal faith that lands me in a particular place on that issue, but I was always super clear. I was going to uphold the law, and I would as governor. And it took an additional $8 million and, on an issue like abortion for Tina to be able to hold on to the governor's seat. And that's sometimes just how it goes. We could not have predicted that issue was going to come up. I still believe that Oregonians want a governor that wants to unite them. I believe that Oregonians want a governor that wants to work on issues that will affect their day-to-day lives. But when it came down to it, I do believe that was a big issue.
Do you think, would it made a difference if you'd gone a step farther and said, or further, whichever word that is, would it have made a difference if you said, it's the state law and I'm not going to touch it?
Well, and I felt like I did say that, that it is state law.
Because I wonder if people, though, sort of thought, well, yeah, but if her friends get in and they change the state law, then we got trouble. Right,
which is really, that really is the basis for the fear. Yeah. That it's not, that this is going to happen and then this and then this and then this. It's just not fair to Oregon voters to traffic in fear. And that was the race that she ran at the end. I mean, I have nothing to do with the events of January 6th, and I was really clear that abortion is settled law in Oregon, and all of those things just got sort of set to the side and ignored, and Tina ran a race that was intended to kind of paint a picture of her opponent that was inaccurate, and it worked.
So it seems clear that if Christine Drazan is going to run again, she'll need to come up with a strategy that will allow her to paint the picture she wants that will shine through whatever her opponent does. Why do I bring that up? Because she's not ruling out running again.
I just care about my state, and I believe in opportunities that are here to make a difference. And what that looks like for me, I'm still figuring it out. I was 100% all in for the governor's race, and wouldn't have done it any other way. And so, that means I'm taking some time, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to participate and engage in the future, but I don't know today.
Think you'll run again?
I would not put it past me to do something as silly as that again, but I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know is this is my place, this is my state, and I think it is worth fighting for, and I've got some fight left in me.
Okay, lightning round?
Sure.
Best thing about the campaign?
Without question, it was the people I got to meet.
Okay, worst thing?
The people I got to meet.
You can't be both. Different groups, I guess, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of kidding. I would say for maybe the worst thing about the campaign was just how much of it I couldn't control. Like after the campaign, I remember I got a message from somebody, that didn't vote for me. I have no idea why people would reach out to me after the campaign that didn't vote for me, but he reached out after the campaign and said, I didn't vote for you, but I want to talk about X, Y, and Z issues. And the thing about it for me was, what that person was trying to tell me was that in some ways on those issues, I didn't communicate in a way that was clear to him, or that got through to him, or answered his questions on those issues. And so I think that was a part that was hard for me, was knowing that the other side of the aisle was effectively confusing people or deceiving them, and that ability to kind of break through that and have a direct conversation and a direct relationship with everybody isn't possible. And you kind of wish that it was. You kind of wish you could sit down with them and just say, just ask me, let's have a conversation.
Thanks, by the way, to Christine Drazan for the conversation that we had, for taking the time to pull back the curtain and talk about the campaign and the election. Again, she got 850,000 votes. That's a lot, but not enough. Tina Kotek got 917,000. So here's my question to you. What do you think it will take for a Republican to ever win the governor's race in Oregon? Here's what Drazan told me when I asked her that very question.
And, you know, the race that I ran was 3.5%, whatever it ended up being in the end. It's not a landslide. And what we need to remember in every single time we have the opportunity for an election is it's clean slate. Let's start the conversation. Let's have a conversation. I always hope that that voters themselves will take people at their word and will judge people by their character and their actions and their behaviors and their commitments, and that at some point we'll be able to see that what happens nationally and party politics and party labels on both sides of the aisle isn't going to serve us long term unless we start to look at our leaders as individuals. And so I always think that the next election is the next opportunity to continue, you know, this conversation with Oregonians.
So we'll see. What do you think? Do you think she should run again, or is her time past? Share your thoughts with me, will you? Email us at thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a message. The phone number is 503-226-5090. I look forward to hearing from you. Up next on The Story, Oregon's legislative session is well underway, and there are several ways for you to get involved right from your couch. We have a step-by-step guide on just how easy it is to watch lawmakers from afar and weigh in on the issues that you care about. When The Story returns. Oregon's legislative session is in the midst of week 2 in Salem, and it's never been easier for you to get involved. We've spent some time showing you how you can be aware of who your legislators are and the ways that you can visit the Capitol to get involved, but there are ways for you to be involved from the very spot that you're sitting right now, right from your couch or your favorite chair or your kitchen or the bus or anywhere. There are very few positives that came about from the pandemic, but the virtual aspect that so many of us were forced to get used to, it's a real game changer when it comes to public policy. You can now sit in on important meetings from wherever you are, as long as you have a smartphone or an internet connection. So tonight, we're going to show you how you can get involved in Salem from your own home. From simply watching committee meetings to actually testifying live yourself on a bill or issue that you care deeply about. We'll start by heading to the legislature website, www.oregonlegislature.gov. From the main page, look along the middle left of the screen for the link that says Watch Meetings, and click on that. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a header that says Live Events. Depending on when you're looking at the site, there may or may not be anything happening at that moment, but if anything is going on live, it will show up here. To watch the meeting, look under the Links column towards the right side. It will say Video and Audio. Pretty self-explanatory. If you want to watch the video, click Video. If you'd like to listen to the audio, click Audio. The next section below Live Events is Scheduled Events. Here you can see what meetings are coming up in the future. You'll see which committees are meeting and the date and time they're getting together. For a scheduled event, if you were to click the Video tab under the links, it will bring you to a page that simply says the meeting has not yet started. But anyway, let's get back to the page with the list of upcoming meetings. If you scroll below the scheduled events, you'll find recent archives. Here you can sift through and watch any meeting that's already happened this session. It shows you the date and time the meeting happened, as well as how long the video is. Some are just a few minutes, others are well over an hour. If we pick one and click Video on the right side, it will bring us to the recording. From this page, you can hit play and watch the recording, or scroll through the video and find a certain part. At the bottom of this page, you'll see 3 options to click through: Documents, Share, and Agenda. Each again, pretty self-explanatory, but it's worth checking on the Agenda section because if there's a particular topic that you're interested in, you can find out when in the video they discuss that instead of having to watch the entire meeting or randomly click through and hopefully find what you're looking for. Now, let's head back to the legislature's homepage to talk about how you can testify or submit testimony on a bill you care about. We're again focused on the middle left section. This time we're looking under the Make Your Voice Heard tab. There are links on how to submit testimony or testify. Let's start with Submit Testimony. Now, we could spend several minutes walking through this, but the legislature has already done that for us, making a video of their own that's embedded right there in the middle of the page. You can give that a watch for the nitty-gritty step-by-step process. And if watching videos aren't your thing, they have a written step-by-step process lower down on this page. And the same goes for the process if you're hoping to testify in person or remotely during a meeting. From the home page, under the Make Your Voice Heard tab, click Testify. The legislature has not made a video for this part, but they do have step-by-step directions on this page, but we'll take a minute to walk you through it. In big bold letters at the top, you'll see that you have to register to testify at least 30 minutes before the meeting is set to start. There are 2 ways to do that, either online or by the telephone. We'll go through the online process and then we'll give you the phone number at the end of this segment. For online registration, you have to use the Oregon Legislative Information System to find the specific meeting or bill that you'd like to testify for or against. To find that, head back to the home page and click on OLIS, or O-L-I-S, on the middle right. On this page, you can look to the top right and click on Bills. From here, you can put in the bill number if you know it, or click the Bill Text tab, where you can search via keywords. Let's do a search for toll, since so many of you have thought about ODOT's tolling plan. If you find a bill you'd like to weigh in on, click it. We found a bill that would prohibit a public body from assessing a highway toll. It will bring you to the page that shows who the chief sponsor is, as well as other key information. If you want to weigh in, you can click on Register to Testify on the top middle of the page. And you may run into this problem. You'll get a pop-up that says the bill does not have public testimony scheduled at the moment. If that's the case, keep checking back on the bill in the future to see if public testimony ever does happen. Some bills are never heard, and if that's the case, there will be no public testimony. But let's say you found a bill where there is public testimony scheduled. You'd get a screen like this, one where you'll fill out your information and then hit Submit Registration to Testify. After you do that, look out for an email from the OLIS system. If you register to testify remotely, the email will have a link and instructions on how to do so via Microsoft Teams or over the phone. And finally, if online registration is not working for you or you can't seem to figure it out, that's okay. There's a phone number you can call to register to testify. The phone number is 1-833-588-4500. Make the call, follow the prompts, and eventually you'll get a phone number and access code that will allow you to call into the meeting to deliver your testimony. That phone number again, one more time, 1-833-588-4500. And that's how you can let your voice be heard. Pretty cool, huh? Now you have no excuse for not getting involved. Get involved. And don't worry if any of that was too fast for you. It was kind of fast. We'll have the video posted on the KGW YouTube page later tonight so that you can watch it and pause it at your own pace. All right? Enjoy that one. Still to come on the story, we're heading back out to the Dalles where a homeless man shared his struggles with our Blair Best.
I don't want to go through the pain of being sick for however long to get sober. If I could just flip a switch and be sober, I'd be sober again.
Yesterday, we talked about the barriers that outreach workers face in the Dalles trying to get homeless people help. Today, we're getting a first-hand account from someone on the street struggling with addiction. That's next, when the story returns. Yesterday, our Blair Best brought you a story from the Dalles featuring an outreach worker who was trying to get homeless people off the street and often into detox programs to help them get sober. That worker showed us firsthand the barriers that they face in trying to get these folks help, and there are a lot of them. Some of you have dealt with those barriers yourself. A viewer who asked not to be identified shared this with us. I have family members working with addicted people. A dinner conversation about your report segment resulted in agreement from counseling and outreach workers that a lot of the problem is a lack of detox and inpatient care. Professional consensus within our family is that the best use of funding from any source for quickly seen results is to A, increase housing availability for unhoused people, and B, increase detox and inpatient care capacity for those ready to address their addiction and mental health issues. Thank you for your commitment to reporting on this set of thorny issues. Sometimes we who work in this sector feel like we are just beating our heads against the wall. Well, hopefully you're not, and hopefully we can help you by putting a little pressure on lawmakers. While Blair was in the Dalles, she met a homeless man whose story didn't make it into the segment yesterday, but we do feel that it's worth sharing with you. This is David. He told Blair he's been homeless on and off since he was 12 years old and addicted to hard drugs most of his life. He made it through an addiction treatment program and was sober for several years, but then he relapsed after a friend died. Now he's desperate for sobriety, but equally afraid to put his body through detox again. And even so, options for getting clean are just not available to him in the Dalles, he tells us. Here's some raw footage from Blair's interactions with David that we think are worth seeing.
I've been a junkie my whole life, since I was 14.
What am I looking at?
Right here, that mark, bruise, that's from shooting up many years. That's collapsed veins. Collapsed veins, all collapsed veins. That's a track mark right there. And that's where I shot up just a little while ago.
And how often do you do drugs every day?
Every 2 to 4 hours, otherwise I get sick.
And what type of drugs do you do?
I was using heroin all the time, like every 6 to 12 hours, but that was hard to get and it's a lot more expensive, so I started using fentanyl, which is $4 a pill, unless you go to Portland, and it's a lot cheaper. You can get it for a few bucks up there.
When's the last time today that you did drugs?
Probably about a half hour ago.
What did you do?
I used heroin. I had probably about 4 points of heroin.
What does that make you feel?
Not sick. I don't get high anymore. It's been a long time since I actually got high on drugs. It's just I do it to not get sick.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people don't understand that, oh, you're gonna get sick or a little runny nose. It's not just a runny nose, it's your whole body's going through trauma. You're like on the verge of dying. If I could just flip a switch and be sober, I'd be sober again.
Yeah, but that doesn't work that way.
No, it don't.
So the closest detox center, I'm told, is 2 hours away.
Yeah, there's no detox here. The hospital won't do nothing for you. They'll give you a shot and send you back out on the streets. If they even do that for you, a lot of people won't.
How frustrating is this whole system?
It makes me just want to give up. It makes me want to give up on life, man. I'm so tired every single day to have to hustle, not to get sick. It sucks. I'm tired of it.
Here's my opinion on this. What in the world is going on? How can a state as wonderful as Oregon have such a dismal outlook for a heroin addict who wants to get clean? It should be simple, fast, and easy for someone like that to get help. Come on. Here's a living, suffering example of what happens when we do not have enough treatment centers. This has to change. Governor Kotek and the legislature have promised to help make this problem better. They need to hurry up because we've seen the suffering of one, and you know he's one of many. David also told Blair about an idea that he has to make necklaces with Narcan and first aid attached to it and hand it out to people on the streets. His idea is the color of the necklace would symbolize what type of drug the person is using, making things easier for strangers or first responders in the event of an accidental overdose. That idea is now being considered by the Dalles Overdose Task Force. All right, keep sending your questions and comments to The Story at KGW. We're going to wrap things up right after this. That's the end of our show. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, the story, our collective story, that never ends. I'll see you tomorrow.
This